Hi, everyone. I'm Julie Fairhurst, and I want to talk to you about pen names. Now, I think it's super important that you get some clarity on this because it can actually cause you some grief down the road, depending on what direction that you're going to want to go. So, let's dive in. Let's figure out whether you should be using your legal name, whether you should be using a nickname, whether you should be using a pen name, whether you're keeping legal and not getting yourself in hot water. So, pen names, real names, and author identity. Should you use one? And what legal issues should you be watching for? Now, at the end of this training, you're going to understand when a pen name makes sense, when using a real name is better, what legal and branding issues to watch for, and how to choose a name that protects both your work and your peace. So, why does this matter? Well, choosing an author name is not just writing a writing decision. It's a branding decision. It's a visibility decision and sometimes safety decision. So your name on a book can open doors, protect your privacy, and it can create confusion. So it's worth thinking about this before you publish. It's it's very important to get this sorted out because the last thing you want to have is you've written in a couple of books, or you've written a couple of your own books, or even one of your own books, and then you've decided that you shouldn't be writing under this name, or you were writing under a pen name and now you want to write under your own legal name. How do you switch all that around? So let's make sure that there isn't a lot of confusion and a lot of yeah, just mud, just mess. So let's make sure we can clear that up first. Now, before we continue, I want you to remember I'm not a lawyer. So this is not legal advice in any way. It is just educational training. If you're concerned about your trademark, impersonation risks, your branding, to protect it, it's wise to speak with an intellectual property lawyer. So this is just to sort of give you a framework that you can use to maybe decide what you want to do. And then if you're confused or you're concerned about legalities, get out there and get yourself some legal advice because I'm not a lawyer, not in any way, shape, or form. Okay, so what is a pen name? So a pen name is a public writing name used instead of your legal name. And many authors will use this for privacy, for branding, and or clarity. Okay, so these are some of the reasons that people will do this. Why an author might use a pen name. Okay, a pen name is usually about protection. It's usually about freedom, and it's about not being fake. So maybe you don't want your family, your employer, your ex-partner, or online strangers to easily be connecting you with the writing. Safety, of course, is very, very important. So you want to make sure that if there is any concerns in your writing, that your safety or you might have some family issues come up, then this might be a reason that you want to write with a pen name. And you might want to separate your branding. So, for example, maybe you're writing spicy memoirs, but you also write children books. Okay, you probably don't want both of those genres mushed together. So you might want to separate. Which one are you going to do a pen name with? Do you want two pen names, or do you want to use your legal name for one and a pen name for the other? So think about where you're going with your writing, what direction you're heading. So this is very important to get clear in the beginning and clarity. If your name is already used by another author, a pen name or an adjusted version may help you stand out. Now, we're going to talk a little bit more about this because if you are using your legal name and there is another author that is their legal name as well, you could have a little bit of difficulty in there on the confusion with that. And we're going to talk about that as well in here because that's really important. Clarity. It's all about clarity, and clarity matters. So a pen name is not being dishonest. It's often strategic. Okay, so think of this as a strategic method of getting yourself out there, getting your branding out there, getting you out there as an author. So when you're using a pen name, there are better choices that possibly you can make. Your real name may make more sense if it's your book, business, speaking, visibility, or all those are supporting your bigger mission. It can also strengthen your personal branding. If you're doing coaching, speaking, podcasts, you may want to have all of this business built into one clear identity and that you can build authority with over time. You want people to be able to find you, people to be able to connect all those dots between who you are and what you do. Your personal credibility is attached directly to your work. Some women want their personal name directly attached to their work. And this can be very powerful for credibility. And this is what I do for myself. So I have women like me, but I also have my website, juliefairhurst.com. I am the main author, of course, of all of my books. So my name is on there. My name normally is on the front covers as well. My podcast, I talk about my books there. So it's a very large branding that I am doing because the business is me. And the business is what I do to help others and to help women to write their stories and get their and hopefully get out there and be able to make some money with their business. But the power of clarability is incredible. It's just incredible. You might have media opportunities under your own name. So using your real name can make interviews, press, speaking, and podcasts visibility simpler. It keeps you public identity clear. Okay, so people are going to know who you are. There's not going to be anything muddying who you happen to be. Simplicity in branding and marketing, like this is so important. One name is often easier to market than two, and simplicity can be powerful. The easier you make it out there, the less confusion there's going to be for your audience when they're trying to find you and to connect with you, and maybe they want to work with you or to buy your books. The next thing you want to pay attention to is if your real name can be part of your authority. All right. So if your mission and your mission rises together, if your mission and your message rise together, your real name can become part of your authority. And so alignment, you want your business to align and you don't want people to be confused at all about who you are and what you do. Your real name can be um, also have some legal problems. So the issue is not necessarily the pen name that you use or your legal name, but it's the issue that is confusing. Okay, so this is one when you want to really keep an eye on what you think you're going to be doing. If you're using someone else's someone else's name on purpose, so you need to take. So if you're going to pick a pen name, let's say you're going to pick Julie Fairhurst, and you need to make sure you Google that, you search that. You want to make sure that the name is available and you're not going to be muddying the waters with somebody else who is Julie Fairhurst. You want readers to understand that you are that person. But you need to be careful because that can get you into risky territory. Borrowing someone else's identity is not really smart branding. Okay. So you want to make sure you're either using a pen name that is not been used already, if you can possibly find that out. But you also want to make sure you're very careful not using someone else's real name if that's not also your real name. You can get yourself into lots of hot water that way. So, and that's not really any way that to build your credibility. Absolutely. So the next thing to keep an eye out is um, what are some risky choices? Okay, so again, using the exact name of a known author is very risky. Choosing a name that is very close to a celebrity is risky. Picking a name that piggybacks on someone else's reputation is risky. So don't get yourself in hot water, ladies. Make sure that you've got clarity around what you're doing when you're choosing that pen name. The real issue is confusion. A pen name is allowed, but misleading people is not. And so that's again, you have to think when you're doing that pen name and you've done your research to make sure that there's nobody else using that pen name out there so that you can know that you are going to be able to do this freely without having any problems down the road. So, what do you do if another author already has your name? So, it's not automatically illegal. So, that's important. But it can create branding confusion, discoverability problems, mistaken identity on Amazon or online, and readers mixing up your books with someone else's books. Now, I know that we have a reader in our, or I'm sorry, a writer in our Women Like Me community group who she's been using her legal name. But if you go to Amazon, there is an author that has written tons of books with her same legal name. So you can see how that could create confusion. And depending on how successful that first reader is, you've got to make sure that people understand you are not that other writer. You are not that other writer, because if they start to think you are, you could get in big trouble for impersonation, diving into their business. You need to be very, very careful and clear in what you are actually doing. So, what are some smart solutions that you can do? Well, you may not need a whole new pen name. So let's take my name for example. So my legal name is Julie Laverne Fairhurst. I've had that name for 30 some years now. So I could, let's say you're Julie Laverne Fairhurst. You could go Julie L. Fairhurst. You could go J.L. Fairhurst. You could even use your middle name and go Laverne Fairhurst. So try to switch things around, just even adding a letter in there or using your middle name, or don't even use your last name. You could just go in as Julie Laverne. Okay, so play around with your name a bit to see what kind of unique variation that you can get, that you can use, and you want to make sure again that whatever you use, you're happy with, because you don't want to be changing, you don't want to be switching names around. So remember that having the same name as somebody who's already out there is not illegal. Confusing the name is where your trouble will begin. The practical checklist before choosing a pen name. Okay, so you want to do your homework because it can save you a lot of stress down the road. You do not want to all of a sudden have all of your branding, your marketing, your name on books, and now you have to go back and change it all. Not only is it going to be confusing for your audience, but it could end up costing you some money as well. So, as I mentioned earlier, Search Amazon. See if there's somebody already publishing under that name. Search Google. See whether the name is strongly associated with someone else. Check social media and domain availability. So, hop on one of the domains and put your name in there and see whether or not you can actually get your own name. And I strongly suggest that if your name is available, you should grab it. Very important before somebody else does. I was lucky enough to get .com and I got .ca for me for my name. And even though I'm only using the .com right now, I pay every year to keep that .ca mine so that somebody else isn't able to grab it. Check trademark databases if you're serious about building your brand, especially if you plan to sell books, programs, merchandise, speaking, or coaching under that name, and ask, does this name feel aligned with my voice and my future? Because this is not just for one post. It may become your public identity. So you really need to be sure that whatever name you come up with, you want to use. Your name is more than a label. It is your doorway. It can protect you, position you, and shape how your readers and your future customers and clients will be able to remember you. So whether you're using your real name or a pen name, choose with intention, choose with wisdom, choose a name that can carry both your truth and your future. So you may think right now, oh, well, all I'm going to do is write in one book. Actually, I'll tell you an example. I've got a lady who wrote in one of our books, and she wrote under a pen name. And then she decided that she wanted to write in the next Women Like book, a me book. And she's written in probably 4 or 5 of them. And now she has her own business happening. Well, she can link all of those other books to her being an author because she used her real name. But in the first Women Like Me book, she can't because she used a pen name in there. So think about that, people. You might not think today you're going to be able to, or you're going to want to do a business, but you don't know where that's going to lead. So keep those doors open. Either use your real name, and if you don't want to use your real name, come up with a pen name that nobody else is using that you love and that you can keep to build on your future business down the road. So I can help you. If you need help choosing a pen name, don't hesitate to reach out to me. If you're not sure, um, you know, I'm here to help. So don't hesitate to, ask me if you're in my Women Like Me group, or if you're somewhere, or you can email me. But do think about this strategically and safely. Just because you're worried that you want to write anonymously, or you want to write under a pen name, or you only want to write. I had a lady recently who wrote with initials. I had a lady who wrote just her first name. I have another lady who wrote anonymous. I'm going to actually stop the anonymous and the initials and the first only one name, and unless that is that person's author name that they're using. It's better for the integrity of the Women Like Me books, and I believe the integrity of the women, in case they want to do businesses down the road, to come up with that pen name. So ladies, I hope that I have helped you today. I hope that you have you understand where we're going with all of this. Think to the future, ladies. Think, what am I going to do down the road? Come up with a fun pen name that you love if you don't want to use your real name. But how are people going to find you? How are people going to know that you're out there doing business? How are you going to be visible? How are you going to, let's say you're going to talk about your books. You can talk about your books with your pen name, but you should probably then use your pen name in a podcast as well. You see where I'm going? You want to make sure your business is clarity and clear and for easy for everyone to understand you, and not for people to try to find you through the muck and the guck and the confusion. I hope I've been able to help you, ladies. If you need help, don't hesitate to reach out.